Welcome back to the Fuel Your Legacy podcast. Each week, we expose the faulty foundational mindsets of the past and rebuild a newer, stronger foundation essential in creating your meaningful legacy. We've got a lot of work to do, so let's get started. As much as you like this podcast, I'm certain that you're going to love the book that I just released on Amazon, Fuel Your Legacy, The 9 Pillars to Build a Meaningful Legacy. I wrote this to share with you the experiences that I had while I was identifying my identity, how I began to create my meaningful legacy, and how you can create yours. You're going to find this book on Kindle, Amazon, and as always on my website, samknickerbocker.com. Welcome back to the Fuel Your Legacy show, and today we have a real special treat for you. I'm so excited when this person came across my email as far as somebody I could potentially interview. I thought I have to do this because I'm absolutely curious, and I'm sure you are as well. What could Sam be that curious about? He interviews a lot of people. Why is he so curious about this? Well, let me ask you, if you heard that you had the opportunity to interview or have a conversation with the co-founder of Royal Restrooms, wouldn't you just want to know? His branding's all purple. It's like, what's up with this Royal Restrooms, and how did you turn this into it? So I went to his website and I was like, oh, this guy's committed. He's not like half-assing this. He's all in to this Royal Restrooms idea. How? Why? What was the thing that brought this upon him that he wanted to do this? So what's really cool about it is that's just his business, but he's also a husband, a father. He's been a business owner, entrepreneur. He's helping franchise things. But he just loves to help people build a legacy and wants to help people reach their legacy. And everybody has different avenues to do that. On this podcast, we're focusing on what are the questions that drive people to become who they are. Not necessarily the answers, but what are the questions that drive that, so that you can answer those questions yourself. You can ask yourself those questions, answer them, and hopefully end up following a life of passion and success that you want to leave. So with that being said, his name is David Sauers, out of Georgia. I'm so excited for this conversation. I've been waiting for it, but I'm going to let you take it away, David. Tell us a little bit about your childhood, how you grew up, how you got into this industry, and where do you see yourself moving forward?
Thanks, Sam. I appreciate you having me on. I've loved listening to your show, hearing the previous podcasts, and kind of getting a feel for everything you're doing. I think you've got a great a great podcast, and lots of insight. My story is probably not that different from a lot of other people. Growing up, it was a kind of a routine life. I didn't know that we really struggled. I was just a kid, and we played outdoors every day. It was what I kind of envisioned a normal childhood life. I had 2 grandparents that owned their own businesses. One owned a TV appliance store, and the other one owned a pharmacy. So I grew up going to small businesses, seeing my grandparents work, and that sort of thing. They were never rich, but they just lived. And I think growing up, my father wanted a little more. He went back to medical school when I was in the 6th grade. And that was kind of a trying area. Trying time in my life. I did not get to see my father very much anymore. He was away doing school for the next 7-8 years. It was a relatively difficult lifestyle. There was 5 of us that lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. So, that kind of created, my background from a early beginnings. I started working at a golf course, picking up range balls when I was in the 8th grade, and I never didn't work. I always had a job. So I think that kind of building my, values, having my my own money, doing my own thing, being somewhat independent, because I wanted things. I wasn't just going to allow things to be handed to me. But seeing all that, when I graduated college, I wanted approval. I wanted approval from my parents to see that I was doing something with my life. I wanted approval from my friends because, I didn't go to the University of Georgia. I went to a smaller college, Georgia Southern. All of those things kind of had impact. Like I was just kind of lesser, I guess you want to say. And growing up and seeing different people and how they lived and how I grew up living, I wanted a little bit more. And I was a golf professional for a little while, and then I got into a car accident, had an injury, and I was a commercial banker for a number of years before we started Royal Restrooms. And Royal Restrooms was formed out of a pure accident. My daughters, we were at a Shakespeare in the Park festival, and I took them to a porta-john and had just an experience that other people can probably relate to. I took my children to a porta-john. There's no lights. It's kind of a bucket. It's just a horrible experience. One from a guy standpoint that I hadn't really thought about because I just would go to the bathroom in it and walk off. But from a female standpoint and having children and kids, it really had a profound impact on me. Went home, drew it up, had my little idea for the business, and I just kind of sat on it. So many people, so many entrepreneurs, they like that security. They like that comfort of knowing what they have, and it's taking that leap of faith in believing in yourself and putting, not just one step in, but jumping full into it. Moving forward what you believe and believing in yourself. And I didn't necessarily have that 100% belief. It wasn't until my business partner, Robert Glisson, he was kind of the catalyst that propelled Royal Restrooms in the beginning. He was like, we got to do this. This is amazing. We live in Savannah, Georgia. There's tons of places. He's like, we can rent the tar out of these things. Who wants to go to the bathroom in a porta-john? Nobody. I mean, going to the bathroom has got to be still one of the most private things that we still do as human beings. I mean, it is the one place where there is hopefully a little bit of quiet. I know that's where I go when I want to get away from the hustle and bustle. And people like to do it in comfort. They don't want to be stressed out about it. And what we created was a fully functioning real restroom just on a trailer. It's climate controlled. It's flushing toilets. You can wash your hands. There's decor on the walls. There's nice smelling soap. You go in, you have no idea you're in a trailer. It's there. It's and we've taken off. We're celebrating our 20th year now in the business, and we've come a long way. Lots of hurdles. We've had a lot of ups and downs, but continuing to be innovative and forthcoming has put us where we are on the map today.
I love it. So I've got a few funny stories here to share, but we'll wait to share those funny stories till later in the podcast, but they're good. That's a good story. And it's actually a little bit of PTSD that probably most people don't know about me. But it's still a fun story. It's good. So we both had different experiences. We both had a bad experience with porta-john restrooms and took different outcomes out of that. So I'm going to talk about that. But before I do that, I want to go back kind of as a childhood, why do you think it is like you're now a parent and you have children? If you think of generationally, you mentioned you don't feel like you know that you struggled when you were a child. Do you feel like your children were more aware of their struggles, or how does that turn out later? Because I think as a kid, I don't know that I like was fully aware that we struggled as a kid, but then as I got older, I was like, dang, my childhood was rough. You know, like the more I got to see of other people, then I was like, oh man, we really had it not great. You know, living in a condemned house, dumpster diving for food, living off of government church assistance. Like, it wasn't horrible. We all survived and we're happy, healthy, productive humans. So on the one hand, it's like maybe it was the best thing for our childhood. But on the flip side, now seeing how other people are raised, I'm like, man, we really had a rough existence for a bit there.
Yeah, my childhood was. I love my childhood. I wouldn't give it up. But no, I never realized that we struggled. It was never put forth. My parents did a fantastic job of, making sure that we were always fed and clothed and had a roof over our head. Yeah, it may have been small. We may have had one pair of shoes, but, it wasn't until I got a little bit older and more in high school when it would, I'd go over to my friend's house and I'd be like, oh, wow, y'all got 2 cars,
right?
Your bedroom has a bathroom in it. Like, whoa, what's, y'all live at the other end of the house. And it wasn't that I was ever embarrassed, but it was just, kind of an eye opener. Like, their fridge is full. Not that ours was ever truly empty, but it was just kind of different. My children, I didn't want them to grow up the way that I had, even though it wasn't bad. But I probably went a little too far. I worked a little too much and didn't get to spend as much time with my girls in their early age. I worked so much trying to make sure that we built a business, built a legacy, something that they could fall back on, that they may have gotten more. They got more than they should have because it was, that's how I made up for my love, I guess.
Yeah.
I gave them more than they should have because I wasn't there the way that I wanted to be there all the time.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. And this is why I wanted to bring this up first, because something you said later was that when you were about or it was either 6th or 6th grade, I don't know which one you said, but your dad went back to school because he was realizing, okay, my parents are entrepreneurs. Sounds like your grandparents, they had businesses and he wanted more. So then he went back to school, and I'm saying this in language that might seem negative, but I'm saying it that way because I want you guys to think about this. Your dad sacrificed those early years with you to get a better career, probably because he didn't want that to happen, because that's what happened to him. And then you end up sacrificing some of your children's early years to be with, to have a better life, right? And it's the same, it's this cycle. And so there's 2 sides of this. Like, had you to do it all over again, would you do it again? Knowing where you are now, knowing the life that you have now, knowing what you and your kids and your family have now, would you do it all over again? Or would you say, you know what, I'm actually going to wait a few years before I go whole hog into this, and I'm going to invest those times and those years with my kids rather than making up with them with things. I'm going to go teach them one-on-one and spend that time with them. And I don't know what the answer is. I'm like right in the middle of it. My kids are 6, 5, and 3, and I'm choosing to have relationship over income. I don't know if that's the right choice all the time. I have mentors who say, oh, work hard right now. But I'm like, I don't know. So I'm just curious, honestly, from you.
So that's a hard balance. My girls, and I have an older set of children, and then I kind of started back over. So I have 4 that are 25 to 21, and then I have one 6-year-old. So I kind of there's a huge gap with my kids. Now, one thing that like you said, that balance. What I think that Royal Restroom brings is we are now a very good life business. And what I mean by life business is there's a good balance between work and family. You can balance that out. Our business is not so stressful that you literally have to bring it home every day. You can plan it out. You can do things. You can plan accordingly to prepare for your family time or have enough family time. And I think that is a very important thing. You know, if I need to go take off at 3:00 in the afternoon to go pick up my son from school, that's not a problem. I can do it. You know, I may work a little bit from home when I get home at night? Yes. You know, you can do most things now from your phone that you couldn't have 15 years ago.
Right.
And once you get things in order, like my business, it's contracts, it's delivery, it's repairs, it's maintenance, it's those things. You have people that you hire to put in those places to do those things for you. You don't have to do it all. It's not going to, your world is not going to fall apart if you don't do this immediately. Delegate some of that, trust in other people, or else you'll end up, exactly where, you're covering everything, you're doing everything. Everybody's afraid to do anything on their own. So you have to put those things in place. You have to trust other people. You have to make the time. You have to, you have to make the time to make your business work and your family work. Neither one of them is going to come easy. It's just like a relationship. You have to put in the time to make a relationship work. If you have a partnership, like I'm the franchisor, I have franchisees. We're a partnership. It's not we're successful when you're successful. You're successful when we're successful. It's not, me against you, or, I'm big bad wolf coming to tell you what you can't do. It's a partnership. You work together. It balances out, keeping a good family life and it mentally prepares you for everything. What is it they say? It's like I don't know. The more sex you have, the better health life you'll have, or the better mental life you'll have, or whatever. Right. It's kind of like that. Is do that every day? Yes, it is. But try.
Yeah. Whatever it is to keep consistent in that relationship. That's why I asked you, because like what you basically described is a 3-generational process of what happened. And what's really fascinating is my parents, they chose family over money as well. And I'm really grateful that they did. They just had 11 kids. So even choosing family over money, it was still difficult to spend a lot of what I would consider like a lot of quality time with all of their children. And that's not a bad thing. I think at the end of the day, I'm so grateful for my childhood. And I'm so grateful that my parents raised me the way that they did, which kind of leads to the funny story of the Royal Restrooms. Because I, like you, I started working, we were homeschooled. So I started working full time in a honey extracting plant when I was 11 years old. We were descaling honeycomb and then wringing it out. And that was my job, harvesting honey out of honey boxes. And then did that for a few years, went to construction, did pavers. And then from there, I was a lifeguard, did more landscaping, more construction, did summer sales. Anyways, ended up here. But while I was in that frame of 13 to 15 years old, I was working in construction. And almost every construction place has what? A porta-john, because none of the houses are working. Nothing's going on. And you wouldn't typically see a 13, 14-year-old kid out there on a working crew with a bunch of other adults. Okay. So you have to put in perspective. This was probably 15 years ago, which maybe it still wasn't right, but it happened. And no shade on anybody. If you ever hear this, I'm not complaining about my childhood, but it's funny. I got pretty friendly with a lot of these other construction crews because when you're building a subdivision, there's crews at every house and you got pretty friendly with them. Well, there was this one crew, it was a group of 4 or 5 framers. And anytime any one of us, them or me, would go to they never tipped it over on me, thankfully, but anytime they would go to the bathroom, they would stop work and they would go and harass the person in the porta-john, like be shaking it, almost tipping it over, knocking on the walls, whatever. Just as like, that was their banter. That was their fun. Everybody did it. It was like a competition to see who could not go to the bathroom the longest. And then whoever was first, it was their thing, whatever. It was fun. And I was a friend of them. So they never tipped it over on me, but they absolutely could have, but they definitely would hit the walls while I'm in there going to the bathroom. And imagine this group of men doing that to a 13-year-old kid inside this porta-john. It would look horrible.
Terrifying.
But on the one hand, I thought it was funny and like was feeling accepted. On the other hand, this is how I responded to a very negative porta potty situation. To this day, I really don't like going to the bathroom when I'm not in my house. Like I will do everything I can not to go to the bathroom outside of my house. Or if I'm traveling, then like outside of my apartment or outside of wherever I'm considering home for those days. I'm not going to go to the bathroom in a restaurant almost ever. I'm not going to go to almost never ever would I go into a porta potty anymore. Purely because of this traumatic experience that I had as a child. And so it's funny that, okay, you have this experience, but you're an adult. You're now saying, okay, whatever, I've always just done it. But now I'm looking at my kids and realizing, this is not the best thing. So I'm curious what that experience was. And I don't know how detailed you want to get, but there had to have been a question or something happened. Just like, this is not okay. What was the thing that was going on that was like, this is not okay. There's got to be a better way than this.
So that experience, that event that you're talking about, my daughter Stella was potty training, and I had my other daughter Cece on my hip. She was not. Oh gosh, I don't know. She was little, maybe 5 or 6 months old, and I wasn't sure where my wife was, but I took Stella to the bathroom, had Cece on my hip, walked into the porta-john, and I kind of turned around trying to figure out what am I doing? How do we all fit in here? Turn around, and Stella is holding the seat, and she is looking down and she's like, "Daddy, why there's poop in the bucket?" And I'm like, oh my gosh, like freaking out. Like you just touched the seat. Oh my gosh. What's, trying to find the wipes, getting wipes out. Can't see anything. It's dark. I have to kick the door open a little bit. I actually asked the lady that was behind me if she would hold Cece. So I've got my foot propped up against the door, looking to make sure that this woman, the stranger, doesn't take my child. And I'm holding Stella above the toilet. And about that time, she pees all over me. I'm holding her up in there, and she just pees all over my leg. And at that point, I was just like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Here we are, it is 2003, and we are still going to the bathrooms like the damn Romans. How is this acceptable? How is this even right? How does this work? I mean, you have food trucks, you have all these rules for vending, but there's just not really any rules to go to the bathroom. You just go wherever. I mean, are we just like dogs? Like what? What's really, why? And I left. I was angry, put the kids down, and I went in there and measured my half bath in our house and put it on a trailer. Just took the measurements and drew it out, and we put it on, kind of fitted it on a trailer, just small little 2 and 3 stall bathrooms on a trailer. I mean, the first ones were like 6 foot by 10 foot. The little trailer was. It was a little teeny trailer, and that's kind of what started it. Or that's what gave me the idea. I think I have to give more of that credit to my business partner Robert for the one really pushing the business. It would have probably sat in my head for forever. But even that's a good story. Robert and I went to a party at his house, and we went into his house, and there was a line of 5 or 6 people. So we walked around to the side of his house and were peeing on the side of his house. And I was just like, let me tell you about my bathroom idea. This would be great. You got 50 people here at the house. You got one bathroom. You could put this little bathroom trailer and park it right here next to the house, and you wouldn't even have to worry about it. And we stayed up until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning talking about all the possibilities that you could do. I mean, it was just a huge drunken brainstorm of ideas. And the next morning, on his way to church, he knocked on my door and he was like, "How much money do we need to start this?" And I was like, "No, I think I've got it worked up at this." And he was like, "Let's do it. Let's start it tomorrow." And within a week, we had a business plan, somewhat of a business plan. And of course, everybody thought we had lost our minds. I'm a commercial banker and he was an environmental engineer. They thought we had lost our mind going from the businesses that we do. And we just say, "Oh, it'd just be a side hustle." Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how it started.
I think that's so common with a lot of people, though. There's a lot of people who have great ideas and they never take action on them. And this is what I think is fascinating about just life in general. If you have a great question, maybe it's listening to this podcast, you have this thought and then you wait to take action. You can, my friend, he calls it mental masturbation, right? You sit there and you just get off on the idea of something without actually ever doing it.
Yes.
And it's like, why not just do it? And if you don't make the decision and take action and actually start the process, you may never do it. Now, thankfully, you had another experience, but what was the time frame between your first experience with your daughters and the experience with your buddy? How long of a time frame was that?
It was almost a year.
A year. So you sat on it for a year. You still had the emotional response. You still were frustrated. You're like, maybe it's somebody else's problem. Maybe somebody else is going to do it. When in reality, I don't know that there's anybody else who is going to do this than you. I know that the first time I experienced something similar to what it sounds like you provide was at the Waste Management Tour, golf tour here in Scottsdale, Arizona. That was the first time I walked into their toilet area, and they straight up had trailers, like big semi trailers, and you just climb up in there and 30 stalls or whatever. And I was like, this is pretty cool.
And that's what they had. I just dumbed it down to make it small and, so that you could do it at a backyard wedding, or, it could be affordable. I mean, you can't afford it is so expensive to move those big trailers and
big box trailers.
These small trailers, we all of a sudden brought something that was very reserved for, I guess, the elite. It was very, very expensive. And we brought it down where it could be, anybody could use it. We made it affordable. We changed the entire industry outlook when we started. Now there are hundreds of little small mom and pop businesses all over the country that do exactly what we do. But it all traces back down to Royal Restrooms.
And that's beautiful. So took you a year to create or actually act on this. And it was another experience. It's like, man, we are both very professional people. We're not people who live in the gutter. We're professional people who just needed to go to the bathroom, and we're peeing on our own house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, talk about pooping where you sleep, right? Like pigs. And not saying that's you necessarily, but we've all done it. I've done it in my house. Everybody's done it a little bit. So it's like, okay, why do we do this? What's the thing that, like, why is there not a better solution? And I think that that's a good question to ask yourself, no matter what it is, whether it's how you're parenting your children, whether it's your relationship. Are you just yelling at each other and you're not are we still responding like animals out of just pure reaction? Or are we elevated to the point where we can actually have a civilized conversation? We can actually think through our emotions. Or are we responding like children? Are we responding like an animal? And I think that question, right? Have we not evolved? What area of your life are you still acting in a way that's unevolved? Like there's so many better ways to act, and yet we still act in this unevolved way just for lack of intention, lack of preparation, lack of purpose. And so I think that's a good question. Whatever it is you're doing for work, is there a better way of accomplishing this? What's a better way to do this? And if you've had the problem, this is the other thing that I think is fascinating. If you're experiencing that hardship, everybody's been in a porta-john. Everybody knows there's at least half the pee that's not in the toilet. Yeah, there's at least half of it that's not where it's supposed to be. And so when you think of it that way as well, it's like, man, clearly I'm not the only one experiencing this. Why is nobody else doing it? What about me as a person who's going to actually take action and make this happen? So anyways, yeah, talk a little bit about that. I'm just curious, from that experience, how did your immediate wife or wives, I guess, respond to it? And at what point in the process did they say, okay, we were wrong. You're not crazy. You have something here.
Oof. That would probably be, I think that they thought that I was crazy for quite a few years, actually, after that happened. When Robert and we kind of, I guess, persuaded our wives of a little bit of, hey, this will be a tax write-off. It'll be, it'll get us out of the routine of the whole family life, of both of us at the time. We had 2 kids, relatively young. It's like birthday parties. It's come home Friday night, make pizza, go rent a movie. It was all very routine, day in and day out. And, Robert and I kind of, we wanted to get out of the house a little bit too. So we sold it as, hey, we're going to go to these events. We're going to bring y'all. We're going to be a little more active. It'll be a tax write-off. Whatever. And that's kind of how we played it. I mean, Robert and I we would go and deliver trailers and go watch the Super Bowl game up at the local bar, because the bar was having it, watching the TVs outside. So they would put them out there, or the whatever local Ducks Unlimited auction or something wanted to rent the trailer because they were doing it outside, or so the Savannah Historic Gala was going to use the restroom. So we would get to partake in that. And it was slow going. It was kind of fun. People thought we were crazy, and then for doing this, and we just kind of pawned it off as a funny joke. We just kind of, we didn't let people know that we were really truly serious about trying to make this a business, I guess you can say.
Sure.
It was kind of just jovial conversation talk. You didn't really want anybody to know that you had this vision in your head of like, holy cow, I really think that everybody will be using this in 5 years. Like, why would they not like it? And then it got to the point of, we don't want to pay for this stuff. We want the price of a porta-john, and it's like, but it's not a porta-john. You're asking for a Porsche, but you're wanting a junkyard car. There's two different elements. So it was a long, trying balance to get from point A to point B. But once we got there, especially in Savannah, it kind of became, you have to have Royal Restrooms if you're having an event, because everybody, it's not that I would say everybody wanted to one up somebody else, but you can't not have a real bathroom and your other event not have a real bathroom. So we were able to, in a short amount of time, really kind of capture the market. And then as we continued to grow, it became a little bit more acceptable. We started getting calls from all over the country. I remember a huge one. It was the U.S. Open, Tennis Open, and of all things, Flushing Meadows or Flushing, New York. I can't remember what it was, but they want our trailers from Savannah, Georgia, to come up to New York for this event. We were just like, oh my gosh, like, really? Wow.
How many trailers did you bring up there?
I'm wanting to say we only brought 2, but it was still they're paying for them to be shipped up to New York. Like, wow, and then you start to get these small things like, gosh, what was her name? I think it was Summer Phoenix was getting married, and we have to bring a trailer out to her and just, like, wow, okay, she's like a celebrity, and we're doing her wedding, and it's opening opportunities that we never saw before, we never thought about. And it's like, wow, we can really make something more of what we have. And the next thing that happened that was a really big catapult for us was, and it's really a horrible tragedy that happened, but it was Hurricane Katrina that happened in New Orleans. And we were taking trailers down there. And I mean, if we would have had 100 trailers, we could have taken 100 trailers down there. But at the time, I think we only had maybe 15 to 25 trailers. I can't remember, that we had to take down there. But I was still at the bank. Robert was still at the environmental engineering firm. And back then, the new big flat screen TVs were the big thing, and we had just gotten a new huge flat screen in our lobby. So we were holding our Monday morning meeting down there. And lo and behold, I think it was CNN was on, and there is Royal Restrooms, and it has our number, 912-234-6800 at the bottom. And that's a South Georgia area code. And here comes George Bush walking out of the trailer on CNN. And it was like, wow. And right after that, my boss has a conversation with me about the restrooms. And then I guess the next month, Robert and I, we both, because our cell phones were through through our companies, they used to charge roaming charges and all that stuff. And we ran up about a $600 phone bill. And it was, some explaining to do, some repayment to do. But at that point, it it was becoming a little bit more than a side hustle or a side job. And it was like, well, do you want to be a banker? Do you want to be in the, crapper business, like, and it's like, dressed in the suit and having this meeting, and you're like, wow, man, I can't believe you're asking me this. Like, I've met all my goals. I've done this, but all of a sudden this image of I'm not professional enough because I'm doing portage potties. And it's like, well, and at that point I kind of got fired.
Kind of. Well, I want to talk a little bit about that, actually, because one of the things that you said when you left left college was that you were looking for the approval of others, and that was something that drove you, is looking for the approval of others. And at some point, it sounds like that approval, either you felt secure enough in who you were and what you were providing that you didn't any longer care about what the approval of others were, or you started getting that approval from others in a bigger way from somewhere else rather than from your job. And so you were okay going to the bigger one. I'm just curious for yourself at that point, would you say you had kind of moved past worrying about what other people thought? Or was it so just like, well, money talks, and sometimes I feel better about what's in my bank account than what you're saying to my face?
Yeah, it's kind of two things, from the approval standpoint. Way back when, I think that I just, I wanted that reassurance that, hey, I was doing good, or what. A lot of my, like I said earlier, a lot of my very close friends went to more prestigious colleges, and it's like, oh, you're at so and so, you're at, and I think I felt a little left out. So I feel like I always felt like I needed to make sure that I was good enough for them to, I don't know, like me or whatever. But my parents really focused in on my younger brother and my sister. And not that I did not get the love, but I could have probably used that reassurance a little bit more, that you're doing, we're proud of you, I guess, and you hear it now, like, we're proud of you, but every once in a while you still are like, I call my parents, hey, guess what I did? Guess what? And it's like, you want to hear that approval. Mm-hmm. But I was so uber focused on being the best. I mean, I here I am. I'm going to be a commercial lender. I'm going to be the best damn, commercial lender there is. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to talk to myself in the mirror. I'm going to see what the other person sees. I want the confidence. I'm going to go get your business, and I'm going to do it right. Here I am. I'm the younger guy, but I'm going to work for you. I'm not going to just do it. And I was fortunate that I feel like I succeeded in that. I got a lot of customers. I got to see a lot of businesses grow. And there are a lot of businesses in Savannah that are still operating that I helped happen. I'm not saying that I was the one that did it, but I was a part of that actual thing. And that's fulfilling. And, even that, like, taking Trip to school or picking him up and driving by, oh, you know what? Daddy helped start that business a long time ago. That's Mr. Gamble's at, Gamble Funeral Service. He is the kind of person that you want to help, that you want to see succeed. And his business is, it has become one of the most respected funeral homes in Savannah now, and you were a part of that, and you helped it, and he helps a lot of people in need. And that in itself is fulfilling. But when I got fired, no, I was terrified. All of a sudden, I had just gotten it pulled out from under me. I remember going home and telling my wife, and I wasn't sure how to do it, so I just went home and told her. And I remember her just kind of crumple into the backyard and just start crying. Like, what are we going to do? What are you going to do? What about health insurance? What about, do I need to go back to work? What's going to happen? Are we going to, and I'm like, it's going to be fine. We're going to be fine. And I think I just doubled down. And I think that was one of the reasons why I think I pushed so much in the business, because I did not want it to fail, because so many people thought that I had made the wrong decision by not staying in banking. They thought that I had made a very poor life decision by, going into the porta potty business instead of, being the commercial banker with the suit and going to the galas and being a respected business leader in the community. Now I was just a business guy, and I a lot of focus into making sure that did not fail to prove people wrong. And maybe that was the wrong thing to do, but that's kind of driving forces.
Yeah, it's really it's a very common reason for people to be motivated and actually do something is to prove people wrong. I don't know that it's either right or wrong. I think whatever gets you to do what you need to do, then that's the right thing. And it's different for everybody. I do think as well, out of the culture that we're in, I do think that small business owners are becoming more and more respected over time than they were, 15, 20 years ago. I think we still have a long way to go as a country, though, to recognize an entrepreneur and a small business as not just a viable career, but as a respected profession, the ability to go from one industry to another industry to another industry and create success. I think that Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, like these more publicized, what we'd call, I heard a term the other day, I forget how to say it, but basically like they're celebrity entrepreneurs at this point. They have no other reason to be a celebrity other than the fact that they just are entrepreneurs. They just have done multiple businesses. They've been successful. They have great personal branding. And as a result of personal branding, they can go do whatever business they want and they're going to be successful. And even a lot of the actors and actresses who you might have put on a pedestal in that way have turned into that. If you think of The Rock, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, he's the same thing. He built a personal brand and now he's got a lot of different business ventures. Yes, he's still an actor, but he's got a lot of other business ventures. Probably one of the best, I think, at this is Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds is insane with his businesses, like so good at getting a return because of his brand that he built. And yes, he's an actor, but he's also a crazy good businessman. Ashton Kutcher is another one. I mean, you have like a lot of these people who were celebrities. They are celebrities. Matthew McConaughey is going in that direction. They were celebrities, and now they're saying, look, we love providing entertainment, but we also love helping people. The things that we've learned, the mentalities we've gained, the business skill acumen that we've accomplished, let's go put that into the broader area and help pass that information on down. And I think that it's becoming a lot more respected to be an entrepreneur, to do that. And if you could choose any way to be the most respected in the porta potty business, I think you chose the best way, right? Like, I'm not offering some crappy service and just cashing in on it. I'm providing the best service in this area. Like, who provides a better service than Royal Restrooms? Who provides a better experience of going to the bathroom? Like, how you get to go poop in comfort wherever you want. Bring it together like that. I think that's so powerful. Is you're not just getting in for the financial aspect. Is there good money in the poop business? Sure, there probably is. But to do it well, you'd rather maybe even cut a profit a little bit to provide a better service. And then over time, you start to change the culture. And a lot of people are scared to be the trendsetter. They're scared to be the culture changer. And it takes a bigger risk than just going into any industry. To be the culture changer, you have to be willing to take an additional risk, because not just a few people, you have the people who you're now charging way more for, and you're still getting the business, and all the people who are just running the orange cans, right? They feel like, what the heck? You're screwing up our business. You're screwing up our business model, because now people don't even want us. And we're way cheaper. So we can't lower our price to get the bid anymore because they're not buying off of price. And so many people think, oh, I can't charge this much for my service because that's not how the industry does it. And you have to say, well, that's okay that that's not how the industry does it. Be better. Don't go in with the industry. Be better. Provide a better service. And you become a new industry. You become, I guess it's still all the toiletry industry, but you are your own segment of the population now. And now that's transcended across the country. So talk a little bit before we go about your franchise and how that's working as far as franchising out around, because obviously you're still in Savannah, but if somebody was interested, like, hey, I think I might want to do a Royal Restroom, I love the idea, how could I franchise that out and have that as be like a family business of our own?
Well, we've been franchising for a number of years. We're in 16, about to be in 17 states. We have roughly 50 franchises across the country now. We need offices. We have so many requests from so many areas that we just simply can't get to. We are weak in the Northeast of the United States. That area, we get tons and tons of leads for that. We can't do anything with them. But one of the things that we're doing on our 20 years is we are continuing to try to be innovative. We're trying to continue to be the industry leader. And one of the big changes with our franchise is we are looking at expanding our product line, not just from Royal Restrooms, luxury restroom trailers. We've also we've changed our entirely model. Instead of having a big white box, our, I guess, high end, we call our vintage restroom series, which is almost a rounded but mirrored trailer. So it completely encompasses the surroundings, almost blends into the background. So it's not like a big white cargo box now. We have a trailer that blends into your settings. It creates the ambience that you're looking for. So many people now come up and ask us, hey, where's the restroom? Because they're wanting to know where it is with me. That's just a question that I get asked all the time. Mm-hmm. And it's right behind you. And they're like, I walked past that trailer 10 times. I did not realize that was the restroom. But going more into depth, what we're rolling out with our 20 years is we are, by creating other options, we're creating other opportunities in the events industry and so forth. And by that, we're looking at refrigeration trailers. We're looking at office trailers. We're looking at beverage trailers, which are all event type trailers that are needed that when you go to events, you need beverage trailers or bar trailers. You need refrigeration trailers. Events, everybody needs what I'm kind of calling right now our quick space, which is our mobile office, but it's been used as dressing rooms, as locker rooms, or as just general office use. And all of these things don't really change any of our core functions as a business. We're still able to use the same cleaning techniques. We're able to use our same trucks. We're able to use our same employees. It's not a difficult transition, but we already have shower trailers and we have laundry trailers that we do a lot of business in. So this is just I guess a more complete business is what we're trying to capture going into this 21st year, I guess you can say.
So question about that, man, we're going to run out of time here, but I really want to answer this. Royal Restrooms, will then there be an umbrella company that is Royal Spaces or something like that? I'm just making crap up at this point, but it's like, or are you going to keep all of those under the Royal Restrooms brand and then they just order whatever type of structure they want?
Well, at this point, it's almost too early to tell because we're still testing the phases, the equipment in different areas to see how it goes. But right now, Royal Restrooms, we're we have a good, solid brand. We're known for our professional service. We're known for, doing exactly what has been asked of us and providing, like you said, excellent customer service, support. We're someone that you don't necessarily have to worry about. But adding these new things to our business it still right now is falling under Royal Restrooms because it's still kind of it still applies to it. In other words, when we have the festival down in let's just say Halloween, they have showers from us. They use the sink trailers, they use restroom trailers, they use beverage trailers, they can use, and then they can use office trailers. So it's all kind of one. It can all be one thing. I guess we're just going under that main company right now as Royal Restrooms. I think it's too early to really accurately say, how it's going to all roll out. And I could talk to you next year, and we've completely decided to change gears again, because our main business is the executive restrooms.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. So, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, if they wanted to open one in their area, start moving in that direction, where would they get in touch with you? What's the best way to contact you guys?
The best way to contact us is our website, royalrestrooms.com. You can go click on the franchise link, or you can email us at info@royalrestrooms.com, or give us a call at 800-969-7434, and we'll have someone reach back out to you to start the process. Like I said, we're in that expansion mode right now, so we're looking for some calls.
Awesome. I love it. Well, I honestly appreciate this conversation so much. I learned a lot, and I'm grateful. Just some of my big takeaways that I hadn't really thought of the same way before is really asking the question, what's a better way to do this and actually take action on it? So that's one of my big takeaways. Another big takeaway is, at what point do you leave your employment? And they didn't leave their employment too early. They left their employment when it happened. But sometimes people try and become entrepreneurs, and they're like, hey, we have this idea. We're going to quit our job and just go hope it works. There are some people who do that, and there's some people who are successful at that. But a lot of the way to start a successful business is to start it as a side hustle. Start it as, hey, get something going on the side. So I think that's also something that was just a good reminder to me as far as how to do that. And then also we never directly said this, but another big takeaway is just how important it is to have good friends who are willing to go run with you, right? You're willing to say, let's go make this happen. Let's not wait. Let's not delay. Hey, if you've got a dream and it's an idea and we both can see it happening, let's go follow through. The worst that could happen is it doesn't work. That's the worst that could happen. The best that could happen is your life has changed and your family's life has changed and everything is for the better. But it's okay if it doesn't work, but may as well have somebody who's there to help you go for it no matter what. So
yeah, like I was telling someone the other day, it's okay to fail, chalk it up to a learning experience, and you can do it all over again. Even if you lose your money, you made money somewhere to begin with to get to that point where you're at, you can do it again. You can get back up. You just have to have that right frame of mind of, I can do it again. I was here once before. I can get back, even if I lose it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, exactly. Well, thank you so much. And we will catch you guys next time on the Fuel Your Legacy show.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, Sam.
Thanks for joining us. If what you heard today resonates with you, please like, comment, and share on social media. Tag me. And if you do give me a shout out, I'll give you a shout out on the next episode. Thanks to all of those who've left a review. It helps spread the message of what it takes to build a legacy that lasts. And we'll catch you next time on Fuel Your Legacy.